For my disability presentation, I chose to present on Tourette syndrome, a disability that impacts more than 200,000 people in the United States each year. This disorder is usually diagnosed in children between the ages of 3 and 9 years old through the identification of tics. So what is Tourette syndrome? Well, legally it is defined as a treatable neurological disorder that is defined by its consistent involuntary tic movements or vocalizations that become apparent due to stress. It is a part of a group of tic disorders that also include chronic tic disorder and provisional tic disorder. To put this simply, Tourette syndrome affects a person's nervous system and causes tics, which are movements or sounds that a person cannot control, which may be repeated over and over. Tourette's is thought to have a genetic link, but there has been no single cause identified. So what are these tics? What we call tics are movements or sounds that a person cannot control, which may be repeated continuously. There are two different kinds of tics, motor tics and vocal tics. These tics can vary in intensity and can range from simple to complex. So motor tics are movements or twitches that a person cannot control. These vary greatly, but some common movements include eye blinking and shrugging. Motor tics can be more complex though, and a student may touch an object or even hop in class despite having no control over this. Verbal tics are different from motor tics in that they are sounds that a person may repeat and cannot control. Some simple verbal tics can be grunting and throat clearing. These can also be more complex to the point of the student repeating specific words in the classroom. So now that we know a little about Tourette's, we can explore how prevalent it is in the United States. It is estimated that 1 of every 162 children have Tourette's syndrome, though only 1 of every 360 children have been diagnosed. 37% of these cases are reported to have moderate to severe forms of the condition. So teaching students with Tourette's syndrome. Understanding what has been laid out about tics is crucial to understanding students with Tourette's syndrome within your classroom. Though these tics may be disruptive, it is more important to understand that they are not done purposefully, and therefore students should not be punished for them. Secondly, as educators, we must understand that tics are impacted and brought on by stress. Therefore, we can limit the amount of disruptions somewhat by minimizing the stress within our classrooms. Outside influences may always make their way into the classroom, but activities such as singing, dancing, and other kinetic activities often limit tics in the classroom. Thirdly, as educators, we must provide special accommodations when possible to those with Tourette's. Oftentimes, tics can play a role in creating difficulties for students taking notes, so providing a scribe or written notes may play an important role in giving students a means to succeed within your class. We must also be aware of the student's other conditions. 86% of children diagnosed with Tourette's are diagnosed with at least one additional mental behavior or developmental disorder, and OCD as well as ADHD are particularly prevalent and may explain other disruptions within the classroom. We can better tailor lesson plans to these students if we understand what they are going through. If a student has ADHD or another disability that impacts their executive function alongside Tourette's, we as educators can provide them with a better workspace. Seating up front is best as to keep their attention, but off to the side is often best as it may be embarrassing for a student with tics to be in the actual center of the room. Using educational technology such as tablets or computers within the classroom to help students with Tourette's is a common accommodation provided. However, it can be beneficial to utilize these for the entire classroom as to not single anyone out. Additionally, test time limits are often waived for these students to reduce stress and therefore reduce the likelihood of tic limiting their test taking. As educators, we can provide breaks out of the classroom in order to give students a change of setting and limit the stress of being cooped up for so long. Providing a safe place within your vicinity where it is okay for a student to release symptoms is also encouraged. If they are within your vicinity and do not stop, you may intervene in a positive way to let the student know everything is okay and let them speak. Most important is that we respect the students within our classroom with Tourette's. They do not wish to be out of control or disrupt the classroom, just as they do not wish to be stressed. Putting aside time to speak with the student before class to check up on them in hopes of minimizing the impact of stress that comes from home can give a student a higher chance of success. Due to how disruptive tics can be at times, it can be fairly simple for students to pick up on something being wrong within the classroom. In order to limit the chances of bullying in the classroom, it is often best to explain to students some of the things you've learned here today, such as how tics are uncontrollable and linked to a student's stress rather than their willingness to do such acts. When students understand Tourette's to some degree, they become more comfortable with their classmates and therefore are less likely to bully or mock students, and more likely to intervene if it does occur. Due to tics' connection to a student's stress, if a student with Tourette's is being bullied, tics can increase, as can their uncomfortableness in the classroom, willingness to learn, and their self-esteem is likely to suffer. Lastly, though we may be able to somewhat influence how disruptive tics are in the classroom, there is no specific cure for them. Tics change, stress increases and decreases. We must be ever understanding of this and their neurological nature. If at any time we blame the student for the tics, we are putting them down within the classroom rather than raising them up. Now, I'd like to conclude with asking a short double-parted question. What is it that sets students with Tourette's apart from those who do not have it, and how they learn? And how can we incorporate stress-free activities within the classroom to better include students with Tourette's while limiting tics? Here are my references for completing this video. For additional reading and resources, I highly recommend navigating to tourette.org. They have a wide array of resources and explanations about Tourette's, and if you are a part of an education system, you can request a speaker from the Tourette Association to come and address Tourette's to inform more people.